Good morning, and welcome back to America's Leaders from Coast to Coast, the 250th anniversary edition. I'm Stephen.
And I'm Leah.
We are heading to the Great Lakes today, specifically to the Brew City. We are profiling the woman who represents Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She is a history maker, a firebrand, and someone who brings a very different perspective to the tax writing committee. We are talking about Democrat Representative Gwen Moore of Wisconsin's 4th District.
Gwen Moore is a legend in Wisconsin politics. When she was elected in 2004, she became the first African American ever elected to Congress from the state. But her story starts way before that, and it is honestly incredible. She talks very openly about her time as a young single mother on welfare. She has said in interviews that she was earning about $500 a year at one point. She relied on food stamps and housing assistance to survive while she was putting herself through Marquette University. She didn't just study poverty, she lived it. And that experience is the lens through which she views every single bill in Congress.
And she credits a specific federal program for her success, right? The TRIO program.
Yes, TRIO. It's a federal program designed to help students from disadvantaged backgrounds get through college. She calls herself a TRIO baby. Because of that, she is the fiercest defender of education funding you will find. She argues that talent is universal, but opportunity is not. She views her own life as proof that if you give people a safety net, they won't just survive, they will thrive and eventually become members of Congress.
Now, usually, representatives from high-poverty districts focus on things like housing or agriculture committees. But Moore sits on the House Ways and Means Committee, that is the Money Committee. It writes the tax code.
And that is exactly why she fought to be on it. She argues that tax policy times social policy. Usually, Ways and Means is filled with people protecting corporate interests or capital gains. Moore is there to ask, how does this tax cut help the single mom in Milwaukee? She is obsessed with the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit. She views those not as handouts, but as tax cuts for the working poor. She is basically the voice of the welfare recipient inside the room where the billionaires usually get what they want.
Let's talk about her style, because she is not a quiet backbencher. She is known for some pretty epic floor speeches.
Oh, she is a poet! Literally. She sometimes writes rhyming verse to criticize Republican budgets. There was a famous moment a few years ago during the debate on the Trump tax cuts, where she went to the podium and called the bill lipstick on a pig. But she didn't just say it, she performed it. She has this incredible energy. She also isn't afraid to put her body on the line. She has been arrested multiple times for civil disobedience, protesting for a $15 minimum wage, protesting for voting rights. She calls it good trouble, channeling John Lewis.
We also have to mention her work on domestic violence. This is another area where her personal history drives the policy.
It is heartbreaking but powerful. She is a survivor of domestic violence and sexual assault. She has spoken about it on the House floor in harrowing detail. Because of that, she was the lead Democratic sponsor for the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, VAWA. She fought to expand it to include more protections for Native American women and to close the boyfriend loophole for gun ownership. When she speaks on this, the room goes silent because everyone knows she isn't reading talking points.
Now let's look at the district itself, Wisconsin 4. It is basically Milwaukee.
It is the Democratic engine of the state. Wisconsin is a swing state, but the 4th District is deep blue. It's incredibly diverse, about 40% Black, 20% Hispanic. It has amazing cultural institutions, like the Milwaukee Art Museum and the Fiserv Forum, where the Bucks play. But it also has deep, concentrated poverty and segregation. Milwaukee is often cited as one of the most segregated cities in America. Moore's challenge is to bring federal money into neighborhoods that have been redlined and neglected for decades. She focuses heavily on things like removing lead pipes, which is a massive health crisis in older Milwaukee homes, and funding public transit, because so many of her constituents don't own cars.
She is the welfare mom who became a tax writer. It's a powerful arc.
And she never lets anyone in Washington forget where she came from. She wears that history like armor.
That is our profile for Wisconsin's 4th. Stay tuned for our next profile. Please note, AI assists in the creation of this podcast from pointedwords.com. And remember, better pointed words than pointed swords.